Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mindset Monday. If you're new to Mindset Monday, this is the show where Chris Lavin, incredible guy, incredible entrepreneur, he breaks it down. So we talk about more than just real estate here. It's actually in the head of Chris. Chris would joke and sometimes say that's a scary place, but if you really knew him, you'd know that this man's incredible. He mentors so many different people. He's all the time going above and beyond to serve. Anyways, I want to let Mr. Bruce Buffer do his normal intro for Chris because Chris got a really important message for you. Now, Chris happens to be he got invited to probably the biggest broadcasting conference in the world that's happening right now, right here. And so this message was previously set up for you guys, but we're going to jump into that and then we'll jump over to your questions afterwards. Let's dive in.
And now, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Presenting the master of the real estate deal and entrepreneur champion of the world, Chris, the negotiator Lavin.
Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Chris Lavin. You're here at Mindset Monday. And what I want to talk about today is integrity. Integrity can be seen from a mile away, so watch closely. So listen, I think it was last week. Yeah, it was last week. Sorry, about 10 days ago. We were walking a property in Atlanta, $122 million asset. It's a really super complicated situation. It's got a struggling property manager. The values are down. The leasing is down. They're down around 60%. And there's a lot of moving parts. And we're trying to make a deal happen. And we're trying to make a deal happen on this specific property for altruistic reasons. It's not really as much about the deal as it is about some of the people that are going to lose their investments if we don't get involved. So check this out. We run this academy. And there's a student, one of our academy students, that has a broker in the area that wanted to meet us. So out of the 20,000 brokers in Atlanta, this student wanted us to connect with this guy. And so we asked him to come to the property while we're doing the property tour. The craziest thing, the weirdest thing happened. He showed up there and he was actually the listing broker for the property we were walking, the property we were doing a tour on. Now, let me just do the math on this one. 20,000 brokers in the greater Atlanta area. We're there to see one property, and you know how many properties there are in Atlanta. And this one broker is brought to this one property while we're touring it. And guess what? The seller had been trying to cut him out of the deal. It's so funny because my partner and I, Nate, we were like talking to this guy, this broker, and the seller, or the lead partner on of the selling team. They had gone up and they were turning around. Right when this guy had pulled up, he gets out of the car. We're doing introductions, yada yada yada. And I'm talking to the guy, and he's like, and I was like, yeah, we're looking at this property, and you know this and that. And he's like, yeah, I'm really super familiar with this property. It's my listing. I'm like, you're a listing? There's no listing broker on this property. And he goes, well, I'm the listing broker for at least another 3 or 4 months. We had a deal on this that just fell through. And just at that time, the managing partner pulls up and he stops, like right here. And I said, hey, dude, you know this guy, right? He's a listing broker. He's telling me that your property is out and it's listed currently. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, so what's going on here? And he goes, and the broker says, yeah, what's going on here? And the guy says, oh, we're looking to do this JV thing and blah, blah, blah. This whole elaborate story. And I'm sitting there and my mouth falls open like, this guy is, like, this is complete fabrication. We're there to buy this property to rescue them. Listen, with me, I don't know what your life is about and where you are in your walk or your journey. But with me, you lie to me, that's a really big problem. But not only does this guy lie to me, but when he got caught, instead of owning up to it, or even saying, you know what, my gosh, we're moving so fast, I have no intention of cutting that guy out, complete oversight on my part. No, none of that happened. He was like, joint venture this, joint venture that. So, whoa, I was like blown away. This guy was literally making these fabrications up as he went along. So we went over to another property, and I got we went in separate vehicles, and I'm talking to my partner, Nate, and I'm dumbfounded. And I'm like, no, Nate wasn't in the car with me. I was with the camera guys that are helping us video the place. And I'm like, guys, that guy just straight up lied to me. I get out of the car, and I walked right up to this dude's face, and I'm like, listen, man, you lied. I said, you have no integrity as far as I'm concerned. I told him this. I said, dude, and he's like, oh, I have no intention and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, man, you lost my respect. It ain't happening. And tell you what, now he took that deal, and it was already difficult, and he's making it even more difficult. Why is this deal difficult? Because this deal we're not buying for the profits. See, we always talk about believing more, right? This is what we're doing with this property. This property, the people that were managing it did a poor job, and they owe $73 million on it. And they owe their investors $35 million on top of that. They were literally taking a deal and wiping their investors out. So Nate and I made a decision after praying about this deal. God told me, Chris, you got to go take care of those people. So Nate and I have decided that we're going to take on the debt, the existing debt of the property, and we're going to carry those old investors that were going to lose all their money, we're going to carry them along with us on what's called the Hope Note, so that when we get the property restabilized and then sell it for what it's worth, we're going to pay back our investors that we're going to need to help come into this deal to help stabilize it. And then we'll start paying those people back. Hopefully get them 50 to 60 cents on the dollar. We're doing this because God directed us to do it. We're not doing this for the profits. Nate and I are probably going to make very, very, very little on this deal, if anything at all. So listen, if you're dealing with me, the bottom line is absolute transparency, because I can deal with the truth, good or bad, but I can't deal with lies, right? And I told this guy, we're still looking out for our investors, but any hope that you had of making any of your money back in this deal is gone. Because you want to be that type of person? Well, I can't honor that, and God can't honor that at all. So what's the lesson in all this? So integrity isn't about perfection; it's about ownership, right? I made 50 mistakes by the time I got breakfast this morning. I'm sure of it. But when I do, I back up and say, "Holy cow! I messed that up. What do I have to do to make this right?" There are two types of people when the test comes down to it, when they make that mistake. It's how they respond when they're exposed. Two different types. The ones who own it and the ones who deflect. The ones who deflect, man, in real estate and life, if someone can't tell you the truth when they're caught, they won't tell you the truth when it matters. You need to like dust the dirt off your shoes and move on. So this is so supported in Scripture. Proverbs 10:9. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out. The truth always comes to the light. It always comes to the light. So listen, I want you to remember this. Don't try to rescue someone who won't be honest with the people who are trying to help them. Just walk away. If you can't help somebody that's not willing to be honest and truthful, because you're only saving them from the situation. You're not changing or impacting their lives, because they're going to keep doing what they did to get them there to begin with. And character is revealed in two places: when no one is looking and when there's pressure. So watch closely. So if you're dealing with real estate in real estate, you're dealing with life. If something doesn't feel right, if it feels off, if your gut is tweaking, don't ignore it. Create space for transparency. Ask the hard questions directly. One thing about me, everybody knows, is I am straightforward, direct. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. With me, you know where you stand and you understand what I'm thinking. And watch the response more than the explanation. People making stuff up, you can pick up on it. That tells you everything about who they are and what they are. Remember, God asks us to love everyone. God has asked us to forgive everyone. But he also asks us to be good stewards of the things we're blessed with. You have to do both at the same time, and sometimes it's a tricky road. So always seek guidance in prayer. That's what I do. I always seek guidance in prayer, and God tells me how to deal with these people, because vengeance is not mine, it's his. But being a good steward of the things he's blessed me with is absolutely my responsibility. So keep that in mind when you deal with real estate. Keep that in mind when you deal with money, especially money. People are weird when it comes to money. You keep that in mind when you deal with people. God bless. Thank you.
All right, that's the message from Chris today, guys. If you've got a lightweight question, I can probably handle it. But if you've got a tough question, then I'm going to defer it to Chris until next week. Chris jumps on Mondays to do Mindset Monday like this, and he's full of punch, full of energy all the time when he comes to these. So if you got something easy you want to ask now, feel free to put it in there. Otherwise, I'm going to take them and I'm going to bring it for Chris next week when he's back here live to deliver Mindset Monday. Cool. I'm scanning the chat quick. All right. The first question is, why did he say if he knew the guy that he knew the guy lied? Chris grew up with street smarts, meaning like he grew up in the streets. And so that man can literally walk into a room. It happened to me just last week. Literally, Chris walked in the room. He's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Nothing." He's like, "No, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And he kept prying until he got me to throw it on the table. Chris just knows. In this particular seller on that deal up in Atlanta, the seller literally turned white as a ghost when the broker walked into the equation. The broker drove up in his car, and the seller literally turned white as a ghost. And Chris saw it. Chris immediately identified it, and then he called him out. He's like, "You know him. What's going on here? Tell me what's going on." And he made him put it all on the table, just like that. Next question is, what if the person that lies like that is a spouse? I don't know if I'm going to answer that one. I might save that one for Chris right there. That's a deep one. That's deep. If it were my spouse, I would have a candid conversation. I would sit down and just have a very candid conversation. One of our family values is always do what you say you're going to do. That kind of falls into the same category as lying. If you're lying on anything, if you're not following through on your word, then you're not living up to it. So I would set family values that you guys agree to, and then I'd have conversation about that. Next one, when calling a broker for the first time, what's your pitch? Really simple. Brokers need to know three things. They need to know that you're capable of closing the deal. Okay. That means that like you can execute, you can get the job done no matter what. The second thing is they need to know your why. And the third thing, they need to know that you have the capital stack figured out. So I'll explain those. The first one, they need to know if you're capable. You talk about like what you've accomplished in the past. If you've closed a real estate deal, even if it's a smaller real estate deal, you can use that as a reference point. Or if you're brand new, then say my team and I, and reference your team that you're working with to get the deal done. The second part of it, your why, for us, ours is believe in more. This isn't about more profit. This is more impact in the world. We literally fund a lot of nonprofit activities for kids. And so for us, it's not just about closing a deal and buying a Lamborghini. We don't own any Lamborghinis here. Instead, we're trying to make a bigger impact in the world, a positive impact. We want people to feel God's love in more ways, especially kids. So talk about that. It'll differentiate you from everybody else. And then the third thing is the broker only gets paid if you close the deal. So the third part of that is that you need to assure them that you have the capital stack. How do you do that? And capital stack is both your loan, your debt, and your equity, which is investors. So you have a conversation about that. If you don't already have a lender, get a lender. Have them pre-approve you, so to speak, or get with your partner that's going to be responsible for the financing and have them get a pre-approval letter for you. So then you've got that and you can talk to the broker about that. So those three things need to be threaded into your conversation with the broker. They need to know that you're capable of closing. They need to know what your why is, what your mission is, and then they need to know that you've got the capital stack figured out. Good question. Next one, when sellers are asking for prices that are just way too high, that's normal, by the way, and they don't pencil, is it best just to move to the next deal, or do you have a conversation with them? We have conversations with them. We talk to them. Like, we're going to be candid on numerically speaking if it's not an alignment, but you can still use the conversation. You're already there. You already put in the time to jump on the phone with them. You might as well build a little bit of relationship with them to see if they've got another deal. You could even say things like, hey, you know, your seller's asking a premium on this one, and I'm not the one that's going to pay the premium for this one, but do you have anything else that might be not listed? You got anything off market, something that's going to trade more reasonably? And so, yeah, have that conversation with them. Might as well. You're already there. All right. I think we nailed those. And then any others that I'm missing, we'll make sure that we get to you guys next week. We'll put them in queue for Chris when he gets back. He's so excited, guys. He wanted to make sure that you guys still got Mindset Monday. And he's like, he comes in with joy to give you guys this message every single week. Last one, how do you raise capital on your first deal? Any tips? First thing, well, very, very first deal. So I'm going to pretend that there's nobody there with capital in hand waiting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to package the deal really, really well. I'm going to make sure that I've got an offering memorandum nicely like teed up. I don't want to present something like same deal presented in a brown paper bag versus a deal presented in a beautiful gift wrap box with a bow on top. The one with the bow on top that's beautiful is going to sell every single time, even if it's the same exact deal. And so avoid the brown paper bag thing. Most people make that mistake first. So I'm going to package it the right way. Once I have it packaged the right way, then I'm going to start having conversations with investors. Like if I wanted to go the low budget route, I would start going to real estate investor meetups. I would literally start talking about it. I'd be posting in Facebook groups. Everything that I'm posting is the beautifully packaged deal. I'm not posting amateur brown paper bag stuff. I'm going to look professional all the way through. Today with designers and AI and Fiverr.com, you can make stuff look beautiful for very little capital. So I'm going to make it look beautiful. And then I'm going to get the word out everywhere. Depending on the deal size, if it's a really big deal, I'm going to go for some of the bigger players, bigger institutions that do capital. There's a whole bunch of preferred equity groups that's what they do is they put capital in deals. If it's a smaller one, then I'm going to go towards like mom and pop investors, which I'll find at real estate investment club meetings. I'll find them inside of Facebook groups that are real estate investment focused, and I'll hit them. Same thing with LinkedIn. I'm also going to go family and friends too. Like my very first investor ever was my boss from the corporate world. I literally told him that I was resigning, and all of a sudden, boom. I guess I had a friend from high school that invested before him, but like my first formal investor was a boss from my corporate job. So I'm not going to exclude the people in my immediate circle either. Next one, what do you mean by make it look beautiful? Like a wedding invitation? Not wedding invitation, but in real estate, we have something called an offering memorandum, an OM. And I want it to look like, you can Google search OM, offering memorandum, and you'll see different examples that will pop up. But I want somewhere between a 7-page and a 20-page, doesn't have to be that long. It could be 7 to 10 pages, but a nice PDF brochure that outlines the entire deal. It's got the numbers in it. It's got photos in it. It's got a unit mix breakdown, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-bedroom, 1-bath, square footage, my business plan, who I am, why I'm going to be able to execute on this thing. I want all that in one document that looks really nice. It should have the right colors, the right fonts. Everything's organized really well. There's a whole bunch of people on some of these websites like Upwork and Fiverr that make them. And I would hire one to make one at least the first time. So you've got the template. That way there, you've got someone professional that's going to handle it and get it done with you. But brown paper bag or gift wrap, beautiful box. I went to Bank of America to open up bank accounts for my kids. And the lady, she brings us to the back to the private banking part, and like it's nice back there. And my son makes a comment, something like, "Wow, this is gorgeous," or "Why is it so gorgeous here?" And then she explained, she's like, "Well, this is the highest grossing bank per square foot for Bank of America in the state of Florida." I'm like, oh, okay. And then she starts putting down brochures of all these different things where you can park your money, and they're all gorgeous. They're all like beautiful, like, you know, the trifold nice displays. Could you imagine if you walked into Bank of America or US Bank or Chase or any of them, and they're trying to entice you to park your money, and they hand you it in the equivalent of a brown paper bag? You'd walk out. Like, you would say, no, this doesn't fit. It doesn't feel right. And investors are doing the same thing. They want to know that you took enough time to proofread it. There's no spelling errors. It's not whipped together on Microsoft Word. It's not a Google document. It looks nice. It looks legit. And then they're more intrigued to turn the next page and keep going with it. You got spelling errors. Chris always says, if you've got spelling errors, he's the first one to kick it out. He knows that if you're not going to take enough time to proofread it, you're not going to manage money very well on the project. So that's what that means. Okay, next one. To partner with HomeInvest, are we trying to get deals that are less than 80% occupancy? No, not necessarily. Usually we buy stabilized stuff, but we'll take – sub 80 if there's a good path to stabilization. And where do we jump in? Most deals we're aiming at 30 million plus. We've made exceptions for people. But basically vet the deal, show us upside, bring it to one of our coaches. And if they agree that there's upside, then we'll look at it with you. No problem at all. You're on the right path with it though. Don't exclude the nicer stabilized ones either, because sometimes you can have a great property that's 92% stabilized, beautiful 5-year-old property, but it's struggling because it has a bad loan on it. Those are great. You want those, gobble those up. Some people took out bad debt, bad loans 2-3 years ago, and Chris and I would jump all over those if it's a nice one. So yeah, don't exclude those. Cool. All right. And the last question on there, how can I participate in a deal with you? Make sure you join our world. We've got an academy program. We do 3-day virtual online events. We've got in-person events. Reply to one of the emails that we sent you and ask, hey, how do I join you guys? And our team will get you synced up. We'll make sure you're taken care of. Great question. All right. Chris, the man himself, he's back in action, ready for you guys on Monday. So be ready for him. Come with more questions. Come ready to rock and roll, and we'll have a lot of fun with them, okay? Thanks for tuning in today. All right. Bye-bye.